is going on YouTube? Jim here and welcome back to the channel. On this week's video, we're installing some brand new headlights. That's right, the Noble RGB Euro-style headlights for the 2015 to 2021 WRX. Man, this is gonna be hot. Let's do this. That's right, gang. We are back and take a look, man. We got them brand new RGB headlights from Noble. So hold on, let's just do a quick unveiling for the first time. You ready? Nice. This thing is looking pretty cool. We got the projector in there. This right here is going to be our sequential turn signal. We also have our illuminated driving light around there. Now, you might notice that my car already has aftermarket headlights, so I am in a unique position to be able to kind of compare the new Noble Euro-style RGBs to some other aftermarket headlights. Now, quite frankly, I have no idea what actual manufacturer those are. These were on the car when I bought it, so maybe I can find some stuff out once I take it apart. But for now, I don't necessarily care about that so much as I do trying to see what these new Noble RGBs are all about. But one thing I wanted to bring to your attention is take a look at this. Over here on the new light, underneath we have our ballast nice and mounted onto there, and there's not a whole lot of like additional wiring or like weird things hanging off the edge of this bad boy. I have had this bumper off the car quite a few times, and there is one thing I can tell you, which you'll get to see later. Once I take these off, you're going to notice there's a whole bunch of just wiring behind these things, ballast that you should mount, you know, so they're not just dangling all around. And there's a whole lot to these, so I'm really liking the fact that all of the ballasts and everything on the new headlights are kind of mounted to the light, and you just get the plug, and you get to plug it right in, and that's like it. Like, there's not a whole lot to talk about. There's not like a bunch of wires to run. There is something for our daytime running light if you want to use the RGB function, but like other than that, it's pretty plug and play. There's also a couple other things, this being a 2018, there is a DRL like box under here that we're gonna have to disconnect it. But before we get too far into that, we're gonna talk about a little bit of the functionality and some of the compatibility with these new headlights that I think you need to know first. Check it out. The listing states this product is compatible with 2015 through 21 WRX base and premium models, as well as fitting the 15 through 17 STIs. For you 2018 plus WRX cars, the headlight resistor pack must be unhooked for proper high beam function, which we just talked about, but I'll get more into that as we get there. Unfortunately, these are not compatible with responsive steering headlights. So there's none of that up and down, left and right movement here, sorry about ya. But one thing I do like is this Euro-style corner light. Instead of having that amber corner, get that nice clear corner, which I'm sure will have a yellow light out of it, but I just kind of, you know, prefer that European look over whatever that is. Full disclosure, I have been warned from Noble, because this has all of the RGB functions, that this is going to be kind of a limited product, which is cool. Give me a little bit of that exclusivity of having stuff that not everybody has. Quite frankly, that's not my concern, because I got them and I'm going to install them, and this is going to be a great time. From driving this car for about a year now, I can tell you that although these lights are fairly good, and I do like them, and I like the, you know, illuminated driving light, the actual bulb itself is very kind of yellow. It might be hard to see in the light here, but at night driving, it doesn't have the power of that bright white projector. It's just kind of like a yellow hazy light, which I'm hoping that the brand new lights are going to get rid of and give me a nice wider bright white beam. But there's only one way to find out, and that's by taking these off and putting those in. So we're going to get to the disassembly process where we take off the front bumper and get to work. Let's do it. Well, gang, we got the bumper off, and this gives us a little bit better look at all that stuff I was telling you is behind here. Now, this kind of stuff, now I get it that this is for like the factory fog, but we got wires coming off of that. We got all kinds of boxes and stuff that go directly to the headlight that normally you would either mount these, zip tie these, you know, put it somewhere, but there's just all this wiring that goes along with these aftermarket headlights. I'll show you more once we get it off, but this is pretty par for the course. Like these guys are always doing this kind of stuff where it just kind of hangles and dangles around here, which is why I like the fact that the new Noble headlight has all of our ballasts and everything mounted to the bottom of the light. I think for my personal preference, that is just so much nicer and cleaner, and you don't have to deal with all this stuff. Some of this stuff is self-inflicted with the lit logos, but once I get all of this wiring out with the old headlights, I think I can do a better job of kind of tucking and organizing what we have left. Our next step is to get our headlight bracket off, which is this 10 mil here, there, one on the side, and then we'll disconnect our horn, and this whole plastic piece will come off. At that point in time, we can take off our two top 10s and get this old headlight out. Bada bing, our driver's side headlight is out. So let's take a look at a comparison of the back of the old headlight to the new one. And once again, this is all that kind of stuff I was telling you. Like, look at all these, like, just ballast boxes that just hang out. Lots of wiring. Now, I mean, this one's got some wiring too, but look at that. It's nicely shrink wrapped. Everything looks good behind here. We basically just have our main connector, and then we have our two connections for our daytime running light and then our fog light assembly. So we had some of that stuff here as well. Right here is a piece that I had to kind of cut off because unfortunately there was, we had to run a gator clip on this fog light harness here, and that's how we pulled power from the old light. The good part about the new light is instead of having to gator clip or use any kind of like junction pieces, we have a plug and play harness that's going to go right into here. And then the other end of that harness is going to plug into our yellow wire. And then for our daytime running light, this will go to our fuse box, which we will show you in just a minute. I just really like how everything has like these quick disconnects instead of having to hardwire stuff in. And this particular wire I had to cut out just because I had it wrapped in all of that harness, just so more wires weren't just absolutely everywhere. But I'm going to be pretty excited to get rid of all this stuff right here and replace it with this nice harness right there. While we're in the process of talking about harnesses, let's take a look at everything that's provided. This is that plug-and-play fog light harness I was telling you about. So one of these ends will go click right in there. If you do have fog lights on your vehicle, this would click into the other side, and then we just have our connector that runs up to our headlight. And as far as our daytime running light harness, here it is as well. This will plug into each one of the red wires on here, so no need to use like a wire tap or anything like that. Just plugs in, plugs out, and then goes right to our add-a-fuse, which we will put into our fuse box. So if we take our cover off here, the fuse we will be using is this 15 right at the top, and it's going to have an add-a-fuse circuit just like my lit logos right here, where we will pull that out, add it to our add-a-fuse, and then we will run that wire down underneath the fuse box into the headlight, and we are a go. So let's get these things mocked up, get all of our wires run, and then we'll check in. Okay, gang, well, a little bit of my OCD kicked in, and I'm thinking you guys might want to take a look at this. This might be the kind of stuff that you're interested in. So, I'm a huge nut of not just having a whole bunch of wires any and every which way. Like, I like everything to kind of have a place, and for the most part, just not be seen. So I figured I'd go over a couple of steps I take for getting all of this stuff to look good and kind of be out of sight, out of mind. So as we're up here at the fuse box, I actually disconnected the fuse box from our 10mm mount there and 10 here. There's two little tabs that you can push, and then this whole fuse box kind of comes up off of its mounts. At that point in time, I was able to slide our red power wire underneath the fuse box, like you can get your hand and all that kind of stuff under there, and then I zip tied those red power wires underneath this wire here, this big loom, I should say, that goes underneath into the frame rail. So once everything is clicked back in, there won't be a whole bunch of red wires, although they will kind of pop out underneath the bumper here. So we will run one of our wires to our driver's side headlight. Haven't quite figured out what I'm gonna do with this yet, but I bet you it's gonna be hidden, and we're gonna run that over to the passenger side. I figured you'd get a little kick out of what it's actually like to wire tuck some of this stuff, or what it's like to actually do what I think is a good job. Taking a little break to show you guys. We got the headlight installed. We have all of our wires run, at least on this side. Our red power wire is run all the way here. Here's our big clip. So I was able to move the clip down into our fender well here, just so it's not poking through here anymore. And I actually kind of like the look, because normally the connector would be right here, and it's just more wires, more eyesore. So I was able to relocate that down into the fender well just by pulling it over and zip tying it out of the way. But like I was saying with my wiring before, where is it? Where did it go? Nobody knows. Well, except for you guys, because I just, showed you the whole thing. But if we pop our top off, we have both of our ADA fuses in there, just running down the back of the fuse box. Everything's under the fuse box. The battery's back in. Can't see any of the wiring. I'm feeling pretty good about this side. As far as our crossover wire, at the moment, I've run it down across here and then up to our other frame rail. Normally, I'm sure you guys would know, there would be a crash bar here, but as I am into drag racing and drag racing accessories, I actually am working on a prototype lightweight crash bar for the front end here. For what I do, which is strictly 8th mile drag racing, I don't think I'm going to be worrying about a front mount here. It's just not going to build the heat soak, so I will most likely be sticking with the top mount in the future. So I could just get rid of this big steel bar, put a nice either aluminum or titanium lightweight bar on the front. I still get all the structural rigidity that I think I want and need in drag racing, but without all the weight. So at the moment, until that bar's back, maybe I can relocate that power wire, but at the moment, it's looking pretty good down there, and I don't think you're going to be able to see it from the front. But now that we can move on to the passenger side, how about we do a little comparison? Let's turn the lights on now, see the beam differences, and all that kind of good stuff with here, especially because we got the turn signal and everything. That's a halogen in this particular light. Where on this side, man, we get that cool sequential light. Man, this thing's already looking pretty sharp. I love it. Take a look. There's that new Noble RGB. This thing is just like blisteringly white. Where this old funky yellow here just ain't doing it, man. I mean, check this out. Look. I know like it's all light here and it's going to be kind of hard to see, but it isn't really that hard to see. Take a look how yellow the old beam is compared to how crisp and white the new beam is. Man, it's daytime. Like it's literally daytime, and you can tell that much of a difference. Wow, and we haven't even messed with the turn signal, I don't think. Hold on, let's get to that. We're going to hit the... Does it work? Boy, look at that thing! That is nice. This is a good look. All right, enough messing around. Let's get to the other side. We already know which one's better, man. Let's get this trash out of here. Boom! Just like that, our other headlight is in. And quite frankly, there wasn't a whole lot to write home about. If you can do the install on that side, you can do the install on this side. It's pretty easy. Now, the one difference between this passenger side headlight that we didn't touch over there is our daytime running light box here. So per Noble's instructions, they tell you for you 18 and up guys that you should disconnect this harness, which we have done. That harness is now disconnected and zip tied up here underneath the headlight with all of our connections. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure Cody from Street Inspired has a different way that he's installed these headlights onto his car, which I believe as well to be an 18 and up, not using the fuse box, but actually running from the power and ground off of our DRL box. So it appears there is a different way to wire these up, but for our installation today, we are running the fused link into the box and the way it just kind of comes out of the package, but it's always nice to know that there are different ways to wire things depending on how you want it. So definitely check that out. At this point in time, I mean, we're all done. That's the way it goes. I mean, it's time to put the front bumper back on. Unfortunately, it's still daytime, so we can mess with the RGB stuff a little bit. I guess I might as well do that now, just so we know that all of it works before we put the bumper back on, because like I always say, it's good practice to make sure everything works before we bolt it up, just to make sure that we don't have any kind of weird electrical gremlins that we then have to pull everything back off before we tidy this bad boy up. So let's hop over to our RGB app on our phone and see how that goes. Okay, so we're going to head on over to our app store and we're going to download the Happy Lighting app. And there it is, already downloaded. It's going to ask for you, do you want to use the microphone and the Bluetooth and all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and click on it. Oh, there we go. We got something. We've got blue, and it looks like, we can kind of change this color any which way we want. Well, that's super cool. I guess, what is this? Is this bright? Yeah, you can kind of dim it and brighten it, do all that good stuff. We've got some, some quick cue colors like this. But just in case you want to do all kinds of really cool stuff, we've got, all the pulsating and like the color change stuff. You can change the speed of that. Let's turn that thing up. There we go. We got blue and red, just pulsating. Green and blue. It's got all the settings, man. This thing's pretty good. What about, whoa, I'm going to freak out. Everything is at your fingertips, and you can just go back over if you just want the standard lighting, and then, boop, we can turn it right off. Now we know that everything works. Then we just have to wait until it's night, and we can get these bad boys shining. Boom, fellas, and just like that, it's nighttime. What good is a headlight review if you don't get any nighttime footage? As of right now, you can tell these things are, just hella bright. It's just causing all kinds of havoc for my camera here, but it isn't just the camera. You can see these things just light up the entire street. It's literally freakish how bright these things are. So let's go through a couple of the different modes where we have just the RGBs on, and then we're gonna kick on the headlights, and my golly, man, you're gonna see the whole thing. So here we are. It's not quite the dead of night, but it is getting pretty late, and as you can tell with the light down the street lights are on, but everything on the vehicle at the moment is off. So we're gonna go ahead and kick on just our RGBs, just like that, and that is the white. Technically it's more of like a light blue, but it says it's white, but that's the best we can do. Let's take a look around the front of the car and see what just that light does for you. These things are pretty mean, man. They look great. They're definitely bright. Keep in mind, you can adjust the brightness. I have them up to the all the way setting, and they're just kind of lighting up the road as is. I wouldn't suggest driving at night, but you get the point. These things you're gonna see them. That's it. Just as another reference, we will turn the lights all the way off, then we will turn the RGBs on, and then here comes the headlight projector. Wow. Man, those things are bright, they're white, you can see all the way down the street. That is some pretty good illumination. So let's try the high beams. Oh yeah, that is pretty good. It's definitely a high beam. You're definitely flashing somebody at that. Finally, I'll do a little road test so we can get in behind the wheel and you can see what it's all about from the driver's seat. First, we'll kick the high beams off. Next, the standard beam. All you can see right here is just the RGB, and then we'll kill that, and it's plenty dark. So let's drive this thing around. So here we are driving down the street, getting to the end of the road. I can already tell you, just out of the box, it seems like the headlights are pointed a little bit high. So I think I'm probably gonna have to make an adjustment to it before I can just cruise around the neighborhood, or everybody's gonna be getting all mad that I'm just high beaming them or something. But you get a good idea of what it looks like. Nice and bright, especially compared to like this car right here, which has got like some pretty yellow headlights. Once they go by, you can really see how much whiter this beam is. But let's pull up to our next parking lot, make an adjustment. I'll show you how to do that, and I think that's gonna be pretty good for our headlight review. So we've pulled over. I've decided that we definitely have to make a small adjustment to our beam height, and I'm gonna do so with this 8mm ratcheting wrench. So once we pop the hood, I will show you how to do that. Behind our headlight, right about there, you're going to see a small adjustment screw. Now you can get to that screw one of two ways. Either a flathead screwdriver that can fit behind the battery or the airbox, or in my particular case, I like to use this ratcheting 8mm long-handled wrench, because I can just get right down onto that thing and start making adjustments. Well, that's it, gang. I hope you guys enjoyed this headlight install as much as I did. Throwing these bad boys on the car has definitely made a huge difference, especially at night. I mean, look at all that light pattern. That thing looked nothing like that when we were driving this with those old funky headlights on it. Plus, I got all kinds of RGB stuff that I can mess with when I'm trying to parking lot pimp, you know? Because that's what I be doing around here. I'm almost 40, so that's the kind of stuff I'm going to be doing, right? Absolutely. Either way, hit that like button. Always make sure to subscribe, and Import Image Racing has always got you covered with all of your Subaru needs. So for thousands of parts just like this, plus tons more, be sure to hit up importimageracing.com for all of the best deals on the web and in the world, and we'll catch you on the next one. Dang, just as I thought I was about done this video, look at this huge frog. Hey, where you going? That's a whole cat. That's a cat looking frog. Look at that frog, man. Good grief. Bleh.